FNR, Football Nation Radio.
Athos, no call! Score!
Salamini for Cole. Cole on the run. Shoots. 2-0.
Lazanovsky with the free kick. Launches a rocket! Trimboli, what vision! Blasts.
Yes!
That's it!
Miljevic.
Beautiful ball! Here's Bozanic. They might have won it!
The Pioneers with George Danikian and George Kotsanis on FNR, Football Nation Radio.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Pioneers. That intro always gets me with some of that wonderful broadcast material that you've put together there, Mr. George Kotsanis. Welcome to you.
Thank you. Welcome, Rodrigo, to our show. Welcome back to our show.
Thank you. Yes, I'm surprised you've got me back after the first outing, but sitting in for the great George Danikian, who's on assignment at the moment.
Suspended, we call it.
Oh,
you call it what you want.
Well, I just didn't want to let the cat out of the bag because he's a legend.
He is a
legend.
legend.
This show is all about legends. And we've got one in the studio tonight. He is an absolute legend.
Have we ever?
Considered one of the greatest players that Malta has ever produced. It is the great Willie Vassallo. Willie, welcome to the Pioneers.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you along. How do we find you? You're well, you're looking great. I reckon you can still play.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wish.
Yeah, so tell us, what are you doing now? You still involved in the game?
Not really, although yesterday I went to a school and, I coached with a friend of mine, I coached a few kids, girls and boys, it was pretty good. I haven't done it for a while, but I enjoyed it.
When it's in your blood, it's in your blood. Don't you love it?
Do you still, we'll get to the past, of course, but do you still love the game as much as you did?
Well, I have to say that these days I play golf. I have to kick a ball or hit a ball, so yeah. But I watch. The A League and if I get up in the morning, the English League.
Brilliant.
Now, and he still gets to go and watch Green Gully.
Yes,
still see you there regularly.
Of course, yes. Watch Green Gully, yeah.
Willie's grandson and my son both play in the 20s there together, so that's how this coincidence occurred. I spotted him in the crowd and got very excited and thought, pluck up the courage and ask him to come onto the show.
That's why you're professional, George.
Yes.
You've got to have the gumption. You're a great producer, and now you're great on-air talent as well. But I've got to say, we are really privileged to have you. I know you're very
thank you.
Understated, and you think that's in the bygone era. But I know that a lot of our listeners will be absolutely thrilled to be listening to you on this show that George Kotsanis put together called The Pioneers, because you are truly a pioneer of the game in this country, and even with the stuff that you did at Malta, but certainly in this country, you should be very proud of it.
No, you should be, and I must say, I was very excited that night when you said yes, that you would come onto the show, and very excited. Then I went away and started doing some research for the show, and just got a lot more excited, if that's possible, and it just blew me away, because this bloke has got a phenomenal track record, both in Malta and in Australia, of winning individual honours, but also of playing part of two successful clubs, especially Floriana and Green Gully, which we'll touch on, and amazing successful eras that just happened to be when he was there, which can't be a coincidence.
What drew you to football?
Malta, playing in the streets, with a tennis ball. We didn't have any balls at all. Always in the street. People come and try to shush us away, and it's not a place to play football, play ball, But I don't know. It was something that I liked, and got me where I am. Not where I am, but it was good to me.
And you played at your junior club was X0. Am I saying
X0,
it right?
yes,
X0.
Okay. Yeah.
How old were you when you got there?
I was there at 14. I was playing in the minors under 18, and when I was 17, I played in the first team. I started playing in the first team.
Tell us then how you got from Xira to Floriana. Tell us the story of how they signed you.
I used to work. I used to work on assembly line, assemble cars, and the boss was president of Floriana, and he's one of the salesmen that he plays for Xira as well. You know, obviously he told him, you know, there's a guy, you know, looks all right. You know, maybe we have a look at him. You know? And he came on the assembly line and he said to me, you know, you not with Floriana, not with Xira anymore, with Floriana. I'm still playing Xira, but you coming to Floriana, you know.
He just decided for you.
He decided for me.
No
You know, I had no choice. I had no choice. Yeah, he was the boss, so I had no choice. And I found myself at Floriana when I was about 17, you know. And like I told George, you know, I went for training one day at the beginning, you know, pre-season. And that year they brought this guy from England, Ted Phillips, and I believe he played for Ipswich or something, you know. And I went there, and there was 3 of us the same age. And he said to, before they start training, he said to me, to us, you and you over there.
Dismissed you.
Yeah, dismissed us, you know. So,
Did you think it was over?
I went home crying.
Oh, no.
I went home crying, and I said, "Oh, what I've done, you know, I don't, you know." But anyway, he wasn't doing well, you know. And there was few players that they were at the end of their careers, you know, and one of them then took over. But before that, after training, he came and talked to me that, you know, this guy is not going to last long, you know, just be a bit patient. So, you know, I waited, and maybe, I don't know if it's 3 or 4 games, you know, they got rid of him. And the whole Floriana team changed, you know, because, like I said, about 7 or 8 players finished, and the young boys came in. And from that day, you know, never looked back.
And it was really was it from around that time that there was this golden era for the club, because they won a lot.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, I was fortunate then.
Yeah.
Then I said, oh yeah, I was fortunate because they assembled a good team, you know, and we won all the honors, you know. It was good. It was good for me.
Tell us a little bit about Floriana, because a lot of our listeners who love football, because this is a football station, wouldn't know a lot about Maltese football at that time, and even Floriana itself.
Oh, Floriana is not a very big place, you know. It's just outside Valletta, the capital city, and not many people live there. But you know, somehow, like I said, they assembled a good team. They had good teams before as well, and they were sort of lacking of good team. They're used to winning championships, you know, and they went through a time where they were, you know, winning nothing, and you know, and then came us. Okay, you know, we came and they assembled a good team, and we had a good run, you know, and. I would say even the national team, you know, there was about 5 or 6 of us, you know, in the national team. And you don't look back, you know, it was a good time.
We'll touch on the national team very soon, but for those who are wondering how successful this era was, in a space of about 10 years, give or take.
Yes. Yeah.
5 league championships, 3 FA trophies, 4 Independence Cups, 4 Sons of Malta Cups, a Testaferrata Cup, and 2 Christmas Cups. So there's about 17, 18, 19 titles in the space of 10 years.
Did you ever lose?
You must have had some disappointing days, but not too many.
Yeah, no, well, one of the leagues, we never lost a game.
Oh, really?
And one of
Went
the
undefeated.
leagues, yes, yeah, undefeated, you know.
For the whole season.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Doesn't
yeah,
surprise
it
you.
was good.
It's just brilliant stuff. And of course, you represented your country
Yeah. Yes.
many
yes.
times.
Yeah.
Tell us what that was like for you.
Oh. I see myself, I see myself fortunate that I was called for, to train with the national team. And like I said, at that time, 5 of us, or even 6 of Floriana players playing in the national team. And I mean, playing overseas and playing against big teams, I mean, it's a dream you never dream, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm still dreaming. It's a bit too late for me, I think. But
Bit too late for all of us.
yes, George, but you actually were not bad. But,
No, don't believe what I keep telling you. So, favourite memories of Floriana? Like, obviously winning, but it must be like one particular time or one particular game. What?
Oh, I would say we played Ferencvaros at home,
Yep.
and we beat them 1-0. And
Was that like in a European Cup or
yeah,
UEFA Cup?
yes,
Something
one
like
of
that.
them,
Yeah,
one
yeah.
of them,
Yeah.
at home,
Yeah.
we beat them 1-0, and I mean, it doesn't happen that often in Malta when we play overseas teams. They're professional. It's not like
Because you're all semi-pro, right?
Oh
You're
yeah, that's
amateurs,
right. Yeah, we work and then we go to train.
Yeah.
And it's something that doesn't happen, like I said. But we were young, and we clicked as a team, and we play. I mean, we played against other teams, but one that I remember, against Ferencvaros, and they had a few national team players playing,
Yep.
and it was a good result. From, that's the thing is in Europe, you get a chance to play against teams like that. If you win the league or you win the trophy, it's Champions League or
who were some of the players that you played against then?
I mentioned Ferencvaros. They had Bene. I
Yeah.
remember Bene, striker. Bene, I remember. My memory is not that good anymore. So it's getting a bit bad. But I mean, with Floriana, I don't remember that much.
No.
But national team.
But for Malta, yeah.
For Malta, I mean, we played against England, against Germany, East Germany. You get to play against these players. Bulgaria, Greece, Hungary. You play, yeah.
I want to mention, only because I've done the research and
Yeah.
I don't want to be sound too clever, but it's very interesting. There was the 2 games in the European Championships against England, home and away. Right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you went to Wembley, and
Yes.
you're expected to lose. In fact, the stories and the research I've done suggest that they were expecting a new world record score,
No,
right?
it's
Which
arrogance.
didn't
Yeah.
quite happen,
Yeah.
and you lost 5-0,
Yes.
which is not a great day out, but
No.
it's probably not as bad as everyone was expecting,
Yeah.
right? But you had a good game that day, and I want to read what it says, right? His best game for Malta was probably the European Championships encounter against England at Wembley Stadium in '71. The lush turf of the old temple of football had broken many fine international footballers in the past, but it had no such effect on Vassallo. Playing with great determination, he inspired his bewildered teammates to come out of their shell and give the Englishmen a fight for their money. England were expecting a double-digit score, geez, I'm reading well, and some even suggested that a new international goals record was in the offing. That this failed to materialise was due mainly to Vassallo's 5-star performance and, of course, his teammates who followed his example. That's a big pat on the back for a young fella playing at Wembley against England. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I never read that anywhere.
Really?
Yeah, really. I mean, it's the first time I've heard that. Well, I mean, when we play against these teams, you have to try to convince yourself that you're gonna do the best thing possible, you know. Although it's a mountain, yeah, but I used to go there and you know do my. I was someone that sort of I liked running as well, all over the place, you know. But like George said, you know, they were thinking of you know, give us a good one, you know, but 5-0. You know, I don't think it's that bad, you know, against the likes of Banks and Bobby Moore and
Martin Shivers and
Martin
Francis Lee.
Shivers. Oh yeah, I mean.
Now we watched those highlights
Yeah.
of that
Yeah.
game just
Just
before
now, right.
as we were
Yeah,
waiting,
I mean-
and you got bombarded in the air. I mean, they just knocked long ball after long ball. And
That's right. Yeah, I mean the height, you know, we suffered. You know, we're not that big, Maltese, but
So quick.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, playing at Wembley too must have been a buzz.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You never dreamed that, didn't it?
No.
No.
do you remember that day? Do you remember it clearly? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one thing that we never saw, something new for us. It was new for us that even when we went to the dressing room, they had a swimming pool, you know, not a shower. They had a swimming pool, so
Big
you know.
baths
Oh
and-
yeah, I
yeah.
mean 5-0, not bad, and then you go in there and a swimming pool.
so you enjoyed the trip. Now the
Oh,
return game, right, which caught the attention. You only lost 1-0. I say only because again, they were threatening to smash you.
Oh, yeah, and
And
call
there was a lot of baiting in the paper before the game. Now they were calling you, if I'm right, the Spanish Waiters. They were coming to play against the Spanish Waiters. So there was a lot of ridiculing. Do you remember that before the game, and did you think that had any effect on the preparation or how you guys went about your game when you heard that?
Well, in Malta at that time when we were going to play against World Cup or you know something like this, England, you know,
Yeah.
we used to have a week off
From
work.
work, yeah.
We go from work, we get together, you know, we sleep together and we eat together, and sort of try to build the
So
but-
going to camp.
yeah, and which helped, you know. But I remember against England, what's his name, coach Ramsey, was it Ramsey?
Alf Ramsey.
Alf Ramsey, you know. He made the statement, you know, that we have to be a bit careful, you know, playing because we used to play on sand, you know.
Okay, not on the turf.
Not on turf, you know,
Yeah.
which was a bit of advantage, but not for I mean big players like England, you know, because they said themselves if you're a good player you play everywhere, you know. So they tried to make some excuses as well, you know, but they were very, very lucky because they scored it just before half time. They scored, you know, and there we had not chances, but we had a chance. And I tell you that Joachini was his name, the striker. You know, if you put that away, I tell you what, the ground would have collapsed because it was chokers. You know, where the ground was, there was flats. You know, and people go on right on top and look from there.
Wherever
People
they could
everywhere.
get-
It would be amazing.
Yeah,
It would have been amazing if you scored.
Behind the goals, you know, they had the kids from schools, you know. So yeah, that was
Amazing memory.
something different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What we're going to do now, and I'm just amazed at what George read out before, because if that happened today, if there was an article like that about a player today, there would be about 100 agents ringing that kid. and you know, sliding doors more back in the day. You know, imagine that clearly didn't happen to you. So.
No, yeah.
But you made a big move not long after that. Let's take a break now for a short moment, and when we come back, we'll have more of the great Willie Vassallo on the Pioneers on FNR Football Nation Radio.
Welcome back to the Pioneers. You're with George Katsanis and Rodrigo Rodriguez, and our special guest, Willie Vassallo, Floriana and Green Gully legend. Now, all that success all those trophies and playing for Malta. And I couldn't work out in my research what the bloody hell you were doing coming to Melbourne. Explain that one for me, please, and explain it for the listeners.
My wife, my wife always.
The magic word.
Yeah, my wife always wanted to come to Australia, always. And she said, what we're doing here, let's go to Australia. But I was happy in Malta because I was playing, and you get that you go and play in Europe, somewhere else. So for me it was all right, but for her it wasn't. And she wanted to. She always wanted to go to Australia. She's got aunties and cousins, And well, one day, one of a friend of mine who used to work with me, he immigrated to Australia. And one day he came with this guy. His name was Paul Atsopardi. He was in the committee at Green Gully, and he said to me, do you want to come and try, at Green Gully in Australia? You want to come to Australia? I said, yeah, I would like to come to Australia.
I have to.
I have to. I got no choice. In a couple of weeks, we fixed everything, and we came at Green Gully. And my wife, as soon as she put her foot at the airport, she said, I love it already. I said, all right.
So you were destined to stay.
And then, we came and for 6 months, because this guy, that's what he said, come and try, for 6 months. I said, all right, yeah, we'll come and we tried, and like I said, there was no ifs and buts, and we went back. We had a flat, got rid of it, but I had to sort of, on the papers that when I left, they said that Willie Vassallo got away, A friend of mine picked us up, we went to the airport, and off we came to Australia.
So we'll get into Green Gully very, very soon, but
yeah.
You were considered, and I know how, because you're a very humble man, just having met you today, you were considered by many as one of the best Maltese players of the post-war period. Now
Yeah.
that is a wonderful accolade. What was the reaction like in Malta of you leaving?
Oh, yeah, like I said, then I got to know that, Floriana obviously didn't like it, and even the papers, But I never considered myself. I used to, I love the game, and I think I've told George as well. That's all I knew, That's all I knew, and.
Well, there was a link, obviously, between Green Gully and Floriana. And
Yes.
those who know their Green Gully history slash Ajax history will know that Ajax was formed from Floriana immigrants.
Yes.
Yeah, and
yes.
hence the colours are the same.
Yeah.
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 So there was a bit of a link there, which is coincidental, but makes for a really good bio here, doesn't it? So they only brought you out on loan to sort of test it out, see how you go and whatever. And obviously you came for 6 months or a season or whatever it was,
Yeah.
and you enjoyed it. As you said, the wife had already decided you were going to come back.
That's right.
All right. So Floriana's fortunes start to go downhill, right? So they've been winning everything, spoiled. Main man disappears to Australia and shocks the hell out of the Floriana fans in the club and me during my research.
Yeah.
Makes sense now why you came. What was your first impressions of not Australia, but say Australian soccer compared to what you were used to?
Well, I mean, in Malta, the game was a bit different, When I came here, the ball was sort of more in the air than on the ground, But I mean, you have to adjust. And at first, it was a bit hard for me as well, And playing with Scottish players and English players, it was a bit different. and even couple of coaches, you know, we used to play in the air too much, you know, not keeping it, you know, and Malta was a bit different, but I mean, we liked Australia, and you have to adjust. And I mean, I never, you know, never bothered me as much, you know. After a while, yeah, I had to have an operation in my knee, but after that, you know, I worked hard, and you know, because I wanted to play, you know. Like I said, I don't know nothing else, you know. Playing football, that was my.
Yep. So Green Gully set you up with somewhere to live, a
yeah.
job. Did they help out with the job?
Oh,
or
yes.
So they really took good care of you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The first time when we came, you know, there was a flat ready for us, you know, and the second time as well, you know, they looked after us very good.
So then you came back and you signed on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you were talking about agents and guys starring at Wembley. This guy who starred at Wembley was signed at Green Gully for $4,000.
Yeah.
So by today's rates, still a bargain, right? And what was about to occur at Green Gully was very Floriana-like over the next 5 or 6 years.
There's a link there, George.
There is a link there, and it can't be a coincidence.
No.
I mean, and a lot of great players went through Green Gully, and we'll mention quite a few of them. But once again, you turn up, and Mr. Midas Touch here, Green Gully start winning titles, start winning cups, start being successful.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you were having a big say in it, or did you just, at that stage as a player, did you just think this was just what soccer was about, just turning up and winning trophies? How did you feel about it?
Oh, like I said, George, when we're playing, I go out there, you know, I do my bit, you know. I think I was someone, you know, that like running as well, besides playing football.
Yeah.
And
so you were super fit. You worked hard.
Yes.
Describe yourself if you have to describe yourself as a player, what type of player were you?
Oh, you know, I always played midfielder, you know, and midfield is you know, it's an up and down sort of, you know, role.
Yep. But were you hard? Were you a tackling player?
I have to. When I came here, I had to get hard.
Yes.
You know,
you adjusted.
That's right. In Malta, you don't do any sliding tackles, you know, because it's on sand.
Yeah.
But when you come here, you know, it was a different story. You know, they cut you or chopped and things
So you
like
had
that.
to chop before you got chopped.
That's right. You know, it took me a while to start doing that, but then, you know, they'll give it to me and I'll give it to them. You know.
Many Scots have sat in that chair over the course of the Pioneers. Who were some of the men that you played with and you were coached by back in that day?
Oh, at the beginning, I'm like Wojtek. I remember
Billy Wojtek.
Billy Wojtek, but what's his name before him? There is an English guy or Australian. What's his name?
I think you had Duncan Mackay, who was there from Croatia.
Yeah. When I came first, I can't remember.
That's
his
okay.
name.
Well,
we mentioned him.
Wasn't Ian Patrick?
Yeah, that's
Ian
right,
Patrick,
yeah.
the great Ian.
You have to help me because my
Yeah, no,
memory
that's
is not
Mine's not that great.
good
either,
anymore.
That's why I have notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ian Patrick. So you played under Ian.
Yeah, in Patrick.
Tell us a little bit about Ian. Well, this is your introduction to Australian soccer, and Ian's the coach who's been coaching for at that stage for 20 or 30 years.
He was good to me, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, trying, you know, help me out to sort of settle, you know. And with Billy Wojtek, we had I think we won a cup or something with
Yeah,
Billy
won the
Wojtek.
World Cup in '79. Yeah.
That's right. And I mean, Billy Wojtek was a good player as well, and as a coach as well, you know. And Bobby McLaughlin, you know. And with Bobby, then we started to get players like Johnny Gardner, you know, Jimmy Williams. There's a few anyway. They were good players. And
Paul Lewis, Peter Lewis.
Poor Peter Lewis, you know.
Tell us about Peter Lewis.
Peter Lewis, he's a fullback and a half, you know.
Yeah. Why?
Hard,
Yeah.
attacking, scored scored goals as well. You know,
so he was a hard man, and he's got a
hard man.
reputation for being tough
For
as nails,
being
but
a-
he could fly down that wing.
Oh yeah, even corner kick. I
Yeah.
mean, in corner kick situations, you know,
Yeah.
he's always in the box. You know, he was a good player. I mean, and the more it went, the more good players we started to get. You know.
All right. So
There's
did you
a-
enjoy your football under Bobby McLaughlin?
Yeah. Sometimes he would have a go at me, you know, but
Well, that's all right. You can tell us what he used to say.
because
just maybe not in exactly the same way.
I wasn't. See, my game wasn't long balls,
Yep.
or I have to change from where I am to the other side balls. You know,
Yeah.
it's always on the ground for me. And then sometimes you would have a go, you know, at me because I didn't cross it to the other side or change it to the
Yeah.
other side. But you know, at the end he was the coach. You know.
And the team was successful.
Yeah, I mean, I think three leagues or something.
3 leagues in a row.
3 leagues
Yeah.
in a row, you know. So
It was just natural for you to win. I mean, it's
it's settled.
amazing.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the team will. It settles. It settles something that you'll settle in, sort
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
You know, you get used to it. Winning leagues. I mean, it's not easy, but you know.
Overall, in that time, I mean, a lot of people talk about, you know, the A-League now, but a lot of us are now, you know, remembering, you know, the older days, you know, the NSL and before then.
Mhm.
What was football in this country like in your memory? You know, what, in terms, if you were to look at it, if you were to watch football now, compare it back to then, what would you say?
Oh, I mean, you know, football these days, you know, it's much better. You know, even in Australia, you know, like I said, the ball is playing on the deck. You know, not over you. You know, in the air. We used to play. I don't want to say English style, but sometimes when you see an English time at that time, you know, I'm talking about. You know, I mean, there were a few balls who, you know, in the air because they're 6 foot or something. You know,
So teams played to the strengths of what they had.
Yes,
If they
that's
had
right,
big
yeah.
boys up front, they
Yeah,
would play
yeah.
some long balls.
But I mean, but these days, I mean, the game, it is different. It's changed, you know. I mean, they try to keep it on the deck as much as they can, and possession and attacking as well, you know.
Yeah, and I thought you might have said that, given how you said you like to play. You know, you're more skillful on the ground.
Yeah.
You know, getting through, you know, defenders like you were. You were quick. You know, I thought you might have said that because in those days, I remember there was the long balls. You know, big tackles.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was a physical game,
Lots of
wasn't it?
headers. You know, it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, hard as well. You
Hard,
know,
very hard.
when I came to Australia, then I realized that you know, you have to start hitting people as well. You know.
How did you go with that? Did you come to enjoy that side of it?
At the end, oh yeah, I mean, because it's not just hitting you and sliding tackles, and you get sometimes you cop a hit, you know, an elbow or and how much you're going to take, you know, then you have to start giving it as well. You
Yeah,
know?
of course, you have to look after yourself. And
Yeah.
it sounds like you learned to look after yourself. I did a little bit of asking around, and they did say it took you a little while to adjust.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe 6 to 12 months, which sounds exactly what you were
Mhm.
telling us. But once you did adjust, I think you gave as good as you got.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh well.
Now, I just want to go on that stat because we went through with the Floriana with Gully from 79 to 82 or 83. There was 3 AMPOL Cups won, 3 State League Championships won, or the equivalent of the NPL, 3 in a row, 3 Dockerty Cups, and another State League Cup, which was the old top 4 format. This is crazy. It takes up a whole sheet here.
Did you have a garage at home with all your trophies, or you know, people normally have a little shelf? You must have a room.
Pool room.
No, I only got one. I only got one when I won the Footballer of the Year in Malta, but the others, they're in the garage, you know.
Yeah.
He hides them.
All dusty up there.
Look, on that note, this is not a dusty discussion. I'm really enjoying this. Let's take a break. We've got the wonderful legend pioneer Willie Vassallo with us on the Pioneers here on FNR Football Nation Radio. You're on the Pioneers here on FNR Football Nation Radio. Rodrigo Rodriguez sitting in for the great legend, the pioneer, in fact, George Danikian, with George Kotsanis, the executive founder of the Pioneers, as he likes to call himself to me every now and then. But we're with the legend, Willie Vassallo. Really enjoying going back and talking about your time in Malta, then at Green Gully, and how you came to Australia, because you know, many men would have come to Australia because their wife said so. You're
It's a
one
good
of
reason, isn't it? Yeah. Now, a few weeks ago we had Jamie Payton, Heidelberg,
Alright.
in that seat discussing an AMPOL Cup final, and it was effectively his last game for Heidelberg. They lost to Green Gully 5-0, and he left on the back of accusations of throwing that game. But this is the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
Nice sunny Sunday afternoon, state league team Green Gully versus the NSL giant Heidelberg. They would have been favourites, right? But you had Len McKendry
Yeah, I was
as
going
coach.
to say, yeah.
Let us know what Len did for you on that day, and maybe even in general at Green Gully. But talk to us about that day and what you remember about it.
I think, with Len McHenry, we had a good run as well. I think he knew Heidelberg pretty well.
You knew him inside out.
You know,
Yeah.
and I
Did that help with the
did.
preparation?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
of course. Oh yeah, I didn't think. I was thinking that we're gonna playing against a national team.
NSL
league
team.
NSL.
Yep.
But he, like I said, we trained and we talked about the game, and given information as well. And
With some of the information given, such as to Stewie, get rid of Jimmy Campbell, because I know Stewie went through Jimmy Campbell and ripped his calf, and Jimmy was in a hospital
yeah,
by half time.
all right.
You don't remember?
I
that?
know, I don't remember.
We'll ask Stewie if we ever get him in the seat. But you've had a good day.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you had another favourite of mine playing that day. He probably starred, and I think he scored early. Mr. Smallman, David Smallman.
David Smallman.
Yeah, what are your memories of him?
No, he was a good player. He was a good player. I mean, he played in England, didn't he? He played in England and
The old Division 1 for
yeah,
Everton, yeah.
And
He wasn't
national team as well, didn't he? Yeah.
7 appearances for Wales, so he wasn't
Yeah.
too bad.
Oh, he was good, David. Very good player. We had few good, well, not few good players.
Yeah,
We had a
lot
good
of
team.
players.
Yeah,
And then
we had
you
a good team.
entered the NSL,
Yeah.
84, and then some more players come. McKendry left because I think he got the offer from South and he wanted to go and stay in the National League.
That's right.
And things changed, but Jimmy Bruni come along.
yeah.
He was the very first NSL coach at Gully.
Yes.
Yes. How'd you go with Jimmy?
Jimmy, I mean, he was good too. He was. Jimmy, not that the others didn't want us to play game, but he want us to play on the deck.
Yep.
Jimmy.
Like he did.
Yeah, on the deck. Not keep the ball as much as we can. He was good. He was good, Jimmy Rooney. So I liked him as well. And we went well with him. Yeah.
Was there a difference? Did you notice a difference between the State League and the National League when you guys made the jump?
Yeah. Oh well, there was a bit of difference, but like I said, we managed. We managed. We managed to. It take a while to sort of set yourself to the pace, if I must.
Yep.
And I think we had I think we had a good run as well. Like we went to Sydney. I think we beat Sydney 1-0 if I remember well.
Yeah.
Although the memory is not that good, like I said.
Well, you beat them away, didn't you?
Yeah, we beat them away, I think.
Well, I
Yeah.
think Gully was
Sydney-
struggling for crowds, but I think you were coping on the field. Off the field, perhaps there was some struggles, which probably led to them being thrown back into the State League. But then the National League was being chopped by numbers, and obviously other factors other than on the field were being counted, especially if you didn't have money coming through the gates and whatever. But having sat next to you or stood next to you recently, not eavesdropping, but I have heard you coach as the game's going on. Little
Oh.
comments, and your comments are just instinctive, right? You know, should have done this, got to do this,
Yeah.
give it there, and every time you are spot on 100% right, which explains why you went into coaching when you left Gully. So you left Gully, retired as a player,
Yes.
and you had your first coaching job at North Sunshine.
North Sunshine, yeah. That's
Right?
right.
And then we're not going to have time to go through your whole coaching career, but just tell us what made you want to, just the love of the game, or did you
Oh, yeah.
think when you were playing you were always going to be a coach? What was the...
Well, I always thought, you know, when I couldn't play anymore, you know, I had to stay in the game. You know, I love the game. You know, what else
You
am I
needed
going
to
to
be
do? You know,
involved,
what am I
yeah.
going to do? You
Okay.
know, and a guy came from North Sunshine, you know, and gave me the opportunity. I said, oh yes, why not? You know, have a go, see how we go. And I started to, you know, look for things, you know, and books, read books, and go for, you know, when you go for coaching
You did
Courses. Yeah.
courses. That's
Yeah,
right, yeah,
yeah.
courses, and yeah. and
Did you
from
enjoy it?
there- Yeah, it's different, you know.
That year was a very long year.
It's different, you know, but because then you know it's not just yourself, you know.
Yeah.
You're looking after yourself. You got 16 players or 18 players, and it's a bit of a headache sometimes. But then I went to Green Gully. You know, they had a president, Ray. I forgot his second name. He came and said to me, you know, would you like to come to Green Gully from North Sunshine? I said, oh yeah, I'd love to, you know. And I think 3 years or something there, you know. And
Trophies?
trophies
Success?
with Green Gully, not in my 3 years. I
Not
don't
in
think so.
your- Not like when you were a player.
No. No.
And you made it in your coaching career. You ended up, you moved at some point and coached George Cross. Is that right?
Yes. So yeah, they were my enemies, but you know, but Maltese, you know, and they had a Freddie Zara, and he asked me if you want to come and coach George Cross. So I said, yeah, why not? You know.
That was big in the Maltese community in North Sunshine.
I
Yeah,
can imagine.
yes.
That was huge.
I want to
Yeah.
know, what did the Green Gully people say?
Oh, well, I mean, they weren't happy, you know, but I mean, they didn't give me the job. So this
had to
came.
coach somewhere.
Yeah, this came up, and I took it, you know.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
a professional. You know, you know, and Mr. Zara could be very persuasive.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
he
he would've
was.
fixed
He
your carpet
wanted.
for
That's
Sounds
right,
like you
yeah.
fixed a few cars. Freddie.
Yeah.
When you coached through your long coaching career, you also went to Keilor.
Kilo,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
And you had success there. You won the league there.
Yeah, yeah.
But through that period, so tell us of some of the memorable names of kids that you coached that went on perhaps to bigger and better.
Yeah. That's a good question. Like I said, I mean the memories. Yeah, but from Keilor.
It's like, yeah, you would have had some great players. I mean,
Yeah,
you
I-
played with some of the greats too, by the way.
Yeah. Play.
Speaking of young guys coming through, you had a young Paul
Yeah,
Wade come
that's
to
what I
Green
was
Gully.
absolutely thinking.
Very young Paul Wade.
Oh yeah, how can I forget Paul Wade? Yeah.
I don't know, you tell us.
Yeah, but I mean, Paul Wade, he was already a good player as well, you know.
Came from Croydon.
Yeah,
is that right?
because with Jimmy Rooney.
Yeah.
Jimmy Rooney brought him over.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I remember. Yeah.
There's a young skinny thing.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was a good player, but another is a up and down. You know, never stops that one.
When he came to Green Gully, and I think he won the NSL Player of the Year one of the seasons he was there, I think. Just when you're playing, you're a bit of an older head, bit of experience, you've seen a lot of football, and this young kid was running around like a madman, and he probably still did that when he was 36. But did you think he had what what it took to make it? Did you say, "Well, that guy's going to make it," or he's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
captain Australia? Did you
Oh,
know that?
Captain Australia, I don't know, but I mean, he was gonna make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because like I said, he played in the middle, like I used to play.
Yeah.
You know, he never stops.
What was his
winning
attitude?
balls as well? Oh, he was good. He was a good kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Wade. You know, I remember him a bit. You know, but even Jimmy Rooney was good. You know, Jimmy Rooney was good with the players as well. Although there were a couple of guys who gave him a bit hard time as well. You know, but you know, we had a good run with Jimmy as well.
All right. So, a question now, without notice:
Mm-hmm.
best player you played with in Malta?
Best player in Malta. Malta. Gonna got me.
There was no better.
Put me on a stop, and you know, on a spot because
Yeah, it's
one of my favorite. There was a guy, Lewis Harper. He plays up front, you know.
Yep.
And at the back there was another one, you know. Anton Camilleri, his name was. There were a few good players, you know. There were a few good players.
Who's your favourite player today? Last question.
Last question. My favorite player today, I like. It's a Spanish one, Iniesta.
That's very topical for him, given that he's,
About
about to retire. So,
probably take up the coaching ranks.
absolutely. Well, Willie, it's unbelievable. An hour's flown by, and we really appreciate your time here on the Pioneers. Thanks, George, for putting that together. But thank you, and congratulations on a wonderful career. And I think
Sensational career.
our listeners would have had an absolute treat tonight to hear your voice, especially some of those who saw you play and some of those who actually played with you and against you. So, again, on behalf of George, thank you for being here on the Pioneers.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
It's our pleasure. That was the great Willie Vassallo here on the Pioneers, and George and George will be back next Thursday here on FNR, Football Nation Radio.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
FNR, Football Nation Radio.
Gutierrez, no call! Score!
Salamidi for Cole. Cole on the run. Shoots. 2-0.
Lazanovsky with the free kick. Launches a rocket! Trimboli, what vision! Blasts.
Yes! Edge. Vujovic.
Here's Bozanic. They haven't! They might have won it!
The Pioneers with George Danikian and George Kotzanis on FNR, Football Nation Radio.